Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the Professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace, episode 61. We have the Skallywags joining us, both me and you. We appreciate you coming back on for us. We're going to talk, and I love that, by the way. That was great. So you should just do that with them as your character.
Oh my gosh, he has
a do a different one every week.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I still say we should have made the Spoo puppet.
Yeah, right.
I totally am down to making a Spoo puppet. I'm going to be on working on that.
Please do.
Yeah, but you're looking more at a voodoo doll.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
The pins are just there for aesthetic.
I don't put pins in them. It's okay.
No, not like that. Just like, oh look, he needs to get up and go mow the lawn. Look, here he goes.
Well, it's for acupuncture purposes.
Right, exactly. That'll help the pain right there.
I'm into that.
So today we're going to talk about our favorite bad movies. And so we were having a discussion right before we came on what exactly that means, because there are some movies, as far as movies themselves, are not well made, but are beloved movies.
Yes.
And I gave the example of Buckaroo Banzai, and I may get a lot of hate for that, for saying it's not a great movie.
Absolutely not. I love it.
But it's an amazing movie. But it's. See,
I thought when it was first pitched to me, I thought we were talking like bad movies, like MST3K type bad movies,
which I love too.
In that realm, I was like, okay, so movies that I love to riff on, which there are plenty of those. Right. I mean, Dee and I, we did an entire show. There's a whole playlist on the Skallywag channel that's it's called Trailer Riffs, where we used to take these bad movies and then we would riff over them, kind of riff track style.
Right.
In that realm, a bad movie like that's I made the stipulation that I would come on as long as nobody mentioned like The Room or Sharknado, those types. The Room not so much, but like Sharknado. What makes a good bad movie is a movie that was made in all earnesty, but just failed miserably.
Right.
Where like a Sharknado was made to be bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but instead we're, I guess, going more the direction of like movies that are universally considered bad, but we love.
Which there's some on Spoo's list that are what are universally considered bad.
Riff worthy. Yeah.
They are totally riff worthy. That he loves. There are on my list, it's more along the lines of movies that have really low scores on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, or that people are like, these are just terrible movies, and you watch them, and all the ones on my list, I only have 4 on my list, are all ones from when I was younger, and they're ones I loved, and I still love because I loved them when I was younger. But when you go back and watch them, you're like, oh, the script is terrible, or
right.
Oh, that's so cringeworthy. Like there's some scenes that are just like, no, I didn't understand what that meant when I was a kid. That sort of thing.
Any movie that can merit a drinking game that leaves you asking the question, what? That's yeah.
Yeah. So
these are the choices that make it a
really.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So I think we're going to get a mix of riffable movies and then also movies that are cult classics that people love, but that are, if you go back and watch them with a critical eye, you realize that they are not well made or well written or well acted movies, whether it's all of those or one of those. So be prepared, everyone who's watching. There's going to be all kinds of movies coming your way.
Well, and I did not include movies like Buckaroo Banzai. I do have a list of ones that I'm like, man, That is one of my favorites, but man, that
I've seen my list originally. It was like 20 movies long.
Well, sure.
I mean, bad movies is like, it's like my hobby, my passion. I love bad movies.
And I have one that I forgot to send you, Larry, that's on my list. But, you know.
Well, you'll tell me and I'll go find something and pull it up. So, yeah, we'll do that.
One of those
We can do that. And if you have something somehow I missed because, you know, I'm scrambling the last minute trying to get images, just tell me and we'll
there was one that you wouldn't be able to find online, most likely, because it was actually made in Springfield. And it is hands down the worst movie I have ever seen. And oddly enough, I was in it, actually. I was an extra, just an extra.
It does, right? Yeah.
But it was called Living a Zombie Dream. And I had a friend of mine, I forced a friend of mine to sit through it. We weren't riffing it, we were just watching it. And probably within 20, 30 minutes of the movie starting, he was literally screaming for me to turn it off. It is so bad. Oh my God. I still have it on video somewhere, I think, on like a VHS. But
I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
I think what got us started on this bad movie thing is Larry came over a couple weeks ago and was hanging out with us, and we were talking about movies, and I sent home a DVD. Did you watch that one?
I have not yet.
Oh.
It's on my agenda. And I've not watched it. Now, if it was going to be the worst movies we've ever seen, and we think they're bad also, which is kind of, you know, I was thinking that may be where we were going to go originally, then that I was going to watch it, but then I'm like, okay, she said it's really bad, and I was gone all weekend, so.
Yeah. So that movie is one of those movies that you watch and it's so bad, and then you go read the reviews, and the reviews are more entertaining than the movie itself.
And incredibly, it riffs itself.
Oh my God! And
AJ and I riffed it at home, and it was very, very fun.
The first time I watched it,
what is the movie?
It's called
The Norseman, starring Lee Majors.
As a Viking.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yes. As a Viking prince.
Oh God! I just realized there's one I forgot to put on my list too.
Who comes over, and this is bad. This is not one we love, but the first time I watched it, it actually was in a DVD set with one of my favorite bad movies, which is the Barbarian Brothers. I don't know if anybody remembers that from the 80s, the two twin brothers who are like really strong, and like it's a riff off of, it's like a low budget twin Conan the Barbarian show with his sorcerers and stuff. I got it for my 40th birthday, and in it was a 2-pack, and the Norseman was in it also. And I was at my friend Trent's house, and we were watching movies, and we watched the Barbarian Brothers, and he was like, "Let's watch this one. It came with it. It's got to be similar." And like 20 minutes in, he was like, "Oh my God, this is the worst movie I've ever seen."
Right.
He's like, "I want to look up the reviews." So for the rest of the movie kept playing, but we were looking at the reviews and reading the reviews, and we're way more entertained by the reviews than the movie. So
yeah, right.
It's on YouTube. The whole thing. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube.
And I have the DVD that I'm going to watch. I just haven't done it yet, so I need to. But I need to be in the right mindset. I think I gotta be wanting for a bad movie.
Back in the day, of course, I mentioned the trailer riffs show that Dee and I did. Back in the day, I actually had a group of friends that would come over. We called it Hack Club, and it was like every Monday night. A group of friends would come over. We'd order pizza. Somebody would supply drinks for the week or whatever. And we would go out and get 2 movies, just bad movies, and we would just riff these bad movies. And we did this every Monday night. Of course, I grew up watching Mystery Science Theater. I watched Riff Track all the time now.
Elvira. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Elvira, yeah.
Joyce, yes.
So just making fun of bad movies, it has always been part of my enjoyment time. But so there's one that I forgot to put on my list, and I should have. I didn't even think of it till literally just a moment ago. But if you remember the 24-hour live stream that we did, we late at night, if anybody was actually around during that, late at night, we watched Suburban Sasquatch.
I feel called out.
Horrible.
Why do I feel
So
called
bad.
out?
What?
It
I
was
feel called out.
Yeah.
so
D is the Suburban Sasquatch.
right. We were watching it, and of course, because we were doing live stream, we couldn't actually show the movie. So we're like, I was doing color
It was
commentary.
like filming us making fun of the movie, and it was like, you can go on Prime and watch it.
And it was fun. I like doing that. That was
It's like you got a guy in basically a gorilla suit with like a paper mache chest and
So
we'll just say
every
inappropriate
movie
parts
ever.
hanging down. But the Sasquatch like walks around making the same like 3-second long obviously looped sound effect that's just like it's so hilariously bad.
But you love it.
I do.
Now I'm gonna go look it up.
Is this the
Oh,
one?
There you go. There it is. And you cut it in just the right spot because there is an appendage that's somewhat slightly visible in that picture.
He's a very male Sasquatch.
Oh yes,
Oh.
very very male.
Yes.
But
yeah.
it was last I checked, it was still on Amazon Prime. So if anybody has Prime, go on and check it out. Suburban Sasquatch. It is one of the best bad movies you will ever see.
It is hilarious. I was laughing so hard at it. It was.
You don't even have to riff it. It's that bad. It's that bad.
You just sit there and laugh.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we'll count that as the first one. We'll go from there. So who wants to go next?
Well, I already said the Barbarian Brothers, which is
You
the one that
did. Now, I didn't include that, but I can try to find those. To pull them up,
it's really hard to find. It took forever to find it on DVD. I got it, like I said, for a gift for my 40th birthday, on my 80s birthday party.
You'll probably have to search. Are you looking for the Barbarian Brothers? That should bring them up. Then I was thinking the Norsemen. You would probably have to include Lee Majors on the search.
Yeah. No, it's John.
D, you tossed me a couple. You want to toss out one of yours?
Well, I mean, the very first one that comes to mind is the Dungeons and Dragons movie from like the late 90s.
Yeah.
The horrible CGI, the classic British evil man.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, he's a great actor. I love him.
That was Jeremy Irons going, this movie is a bomb. I'm just going to have fun with it.
Exactly. I mean, Jeremy Irons is an amazing actor. He's got a lot of acting cred.
Yeah.
But it was just like they handed him a script, a bag of cash, and that was it. And then he just didn't care.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes it's that bad that it's just, it really is that. And I've got one on my list that's kind of like that, where you're like, all these great actors are in here, but it's
what made no sense.
Horrible.
What made no sense was like, you've got Marlon Wayans in there. I think it's Marlon.
Yeah.
One of the Wayans brothers is in there. But like, so here's a movie that's attempting to take itself seriously, but then you've got Marlon Wayans talking in like modern day slang. And it just like these two things don't go. Is this a comedy? Is this a parody? Is it serious? And then your main actor is the guy that played Jimmy Olsen on Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
That big name.
that huge star. You can't.
That star who's big enough that I can't even remember his name. I just remember he was the replacement Jimmy Olsen on Lois and Clark. He wasn't even the original Jimmy.
Right.
That's beautiful.
So there you go, Dungeons and Dragons. There we are.
I mean, the Dungeons and Dragons property is so huge.
Oh yeah,
they could literally have drawn upon any of the hundreds, and I mean literally hundreds of novelizations, comic books, any of the Wizards of the Coast stuff, and they chose to do something that was absurdly bad.
Yeah,
I think there's I've heard here recently that there's a new one being made.
There is a new one.
Chris Pine.
Yeah.
And it's actually done by Hasbro's in-house studio, the one that's taking over all the G.I. Joe property,
Nice.
all the Transformer property, the Magic the Gathering stuff. So hopefully, as long as they don't hire Michael Bay, a decent movie.
Oh, that would be good, because the thing is like you said, Dungeons and Dragons has so much content to pull from, and amazing content to pull from. Like, I don't understand why they did the story they did. The script was just so.
If I remember right, didn't they do a sequel that went right to DVD?
Yes, they did.
There's been a few.
And I think it was better than the big screen movie.
Right.
Big
Which
screen.
isn't saying a lot.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a large window of opportunity there to be better.
Right.
But it is one of those movies that when, like, before streaming sites and you were flipping through the channels, and if you saw it, this is also one of my prerequisites on the list of movies, is like, if I'm flipping through the channels and it's on, I stopped and I watched the whole thing. And then I was like, why did I just watch that again?
You know, exactly.
Because you didn't want to die in a bathtub of an aneurysm. That's why you watch it.
You going into it, you know that you're never getting that 2 hours back, but
Exactly.
I've got it to spare, so it's okay.
I'm committed. I don't have anything going on.
What else am I gonna do?
I'm not a
Go?
quitter.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, there's just certain movies that when, like, now it's more difficult because it's streaming sites and you have to make a conscious decision. But like late at night when you had cable,
USA up all night.
USA Network.
Up all
Yes.
night, yeah.
Yes.
Up
you were
all
just,
night.
oh, look at that. There's, Working Girl.
TNT.
Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah.
Yeah, Working Girl is one of those with Melanie Griffith that, like, I don't even like the movie that much, but if it was on and I'm flipping through, I stopped and watched it. And I'm like, why did I? And I remember one season, like one spring, I watched it like 7 times. Why am I doing this?
Right. Well, what's worse is when you're like, well, I'll just have this on because I can do something else while I've got it on. I don't pay attention. And then you spend your whole time watching it. You're like, why did I not do something else along with it? Yeah.
We watched kind of the opposite side. We watched one recently that I remembered as being like horrendously bad, but then once watching it again was like, that wasn't nearly as bad as I remembered it being, and I kind of enjoyed it. But that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Yes.
The Turtles in Time one.
Oh, wow.
At the time, that was a horrible movie. But
Yeah, well, the first two were so great, and then it was like, I mean, yeah, the outfits were god awful, but other than that, it was a fun movie.
And Les loved it. It was one of her favorite. Yeah. I think her favorite out of the 3. I think that one was her favorite, and
it may have been.
But I'm not sure if that's because she liked it more, or if it's because at that point because we watched 1, 2, and 3 back to back, and I think at that point she then loved the character so much that she liked it the most. Right. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know. Children's taste. That's why half the things that are on my list because I was a kid.
Exactly. So here's the Barbarians for you right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still love that movie so much. Akira.
Tell us about it. Tell us why you love it.
Okay, so I loved Conan the Barbarian, but my brother let me watch it, but I was not allowed to watch it.
Right. It's R-rated, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This one is a kid version of Conan the Barbarian. They're twins. They are raised by gypsies, and as anyone who watches regularly, my family are Irish travelers, aka gypsies, is what people would call us. But they're raised by travelers, and they're entertainers, and they get kidnapped and separated at birth. And there's a girl that was raised with them that's also kidnapped, and they get raised in this like work camp. And they get like all muscly and stuff, and then they go gladiator style, and they pit them against each other, and they realize that it's their brother, and they escape, and it's just it's a kid's version of Conan the Barbarian, which was so great for me when I was not allowed to watch, any of the Conan-esque movies because they were so inappropriate in my parents' eyes. And so this one I was allowed to watch, and I was allowed to watch Beastmaster because it had animals.
Oh, I love Beastmaster.
I love
Beastmaster
Beastmaster.
is a great movie. It
Yes.
actually really is.
Number 2, not so much.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
No.
I don't like it when they bring the characters into the modern age. It doesn't.
No,
make
right. Yeah,
We'll
well,
get to that.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. But this one is just like if you have kids and they love fantasy, this movie is such a fun, kids-friendly Conan the Barbarian. That's the only way to describe it. But with 2 twins who are one stupid and one smart, they're both big and powerful, and they go on this quest, this magical quest to try to save the gypsies that raised them. So
Tell me you want to cash in on a property like He-Man.
Right.
And it came
We'll
out.
get to that too.
It came out right around that time, and it was just fun. It doesn't have any really big names in it, but it's colorful.
No.
Well,
It doesn't even have any people's names in it.
Eva LaRue is the biggest name in it.
Okay,
There you go.
I'll have to Google her.
Who?
Yeah.
I didn't even hear what you said. What was the name?
Eva LaRue.
Oh, okay.
She's the like somebody who helps.
She was the name to put on the poster.
Well, no, the guys' names, the twins' names were on the poster because they
were kind of a C-list.
They were in a
novelty
trucker
act in the
movie
80s.
too. I can't remember the trucker movie, but they were in a trucker movie.
Yeah.
For like these like team trucker, big brawly twin brothers. It was a weird movie.
Right.
Not good. Weird. Like weird. So,
Larry, what do you got, Larry?
Well, let's go talking about trying to cash in on a franchise. This one tried to do that also, and had talk about amazing cast. This thing had an incredible cast, but was so poorly written that it's just terrible. But I still love it, and that's 1984. Cashing in on the Superman movies, Supergirl.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Helen
man.
Slater. By the way, I met her. She is the nicest lady ever. She's just so sweet. She was sweet to my daughter.
Love that
when my daughter loved that chicken, exactly. But this movie's god awful.
It's
This is a movie that literally has the plot point of evil witch wants to take over the world. I'm going to rule the way. Wait, is that a man?
Yes, it does. That's exactly right.
She abandons the whole
it's
rule
not
the world
wrong.
thing to make a dude that she's never met before fall in love with her.
You're not wrong.
And that becomes the new thing.
You got like 10 or 15 minutes into it, and then it derails. And then when that point in the movie happens, and you watch it, you're just like,
what happened to Super? I know that
Well, but you don't.
Rule the world.
Even before that, I mean, the whole scene on oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the area that
Fargo City.
Yes, Fargo's. Yes,
Yeah.
the whole thing with Peter O'Toole. It's freaking Peter O'Toole.
It had some huge names. See, here's the story behind this movie. It was originally going to basically start off as a Superman movie.
Right.
That then brought Supergirl in, and it was going to be kind of a team-up movie. However, they kind of pulled a chunk of the budget sort of last minute, and so they couldn't get Christopher Reeve in it. Right. So then it was like, well, what do we got left? Well, we got Jimmy Olsen.
You're right. The only thing that
I guess
movies,
that's it. So then they start shooting the movie, and then budget keeps getting cut smaller and smaller and smaller, which ends up with Supergirl facing off against an invisible monster at the end of the movie.
Yes, right.
And so, yeah, it was just that was Golan Globus basically kind of committing movie suicide there.
Oh,
It had potential.
Invisible
just
monsters.
ruined it as it went along.
Invisible monsters cost a lot less than visible monsters.
That's true. You've got Faye Dunaway as the evil witch. You've got Peter Cook also in this movie. Mia Farrow. This movie is just packed with stars.
All the potential.
Yeah. It is horrible.
And
I love it.
They just looked at the budget and was like, no, we don't need that. We don't need
Right.
that.
Well,
No,
we don't need a script.
Let's see, what do we need, though, is Supergirl, so we got to have something in them. Oh, I know. Little girls love horses. Let's have her fly by some horses.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is
Play with some bunnies.
Maybe they spent too much money on the names.
That may be true.
That's probably true. Because, like I said, originally it was supposed to be this big, epic thing, but then it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. But by then they had already hired these people.
The actors already had contracts, so they're like,
So I did a review of this on the Horrible Movie podcast that was on a few years ago. Those guys out of they were out of Republic. Wonderful show. They would just take these bad movies and we'd sit and watch them together, and we'd do this whole podcast review. It was great. And I reviewed this movie because I'm like, this is a horrible movie, but I love this movie, even though it's horrible. And I love it mainly because Helen Slater is just the nicest lady. So she's a sweetheart when I met her.
That's right up there with the 1990 Captain America movie.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, which that should be on my list. Because that movie is surprisingly really good for what it is.
I've never seen it. I've never found where I can watch it.
So the story, real quick, the story behind that one was like, it was literally only made so that some German company owned the rights to it at the time. They had to make a movie by a certain time frame or they would lose the rights.
Right. Yeah.
So they called up Roger Corman, was like, we're going to give you $1 million. That's it. $1 million. Make a Fantastic Four movie as cheaply as possible. So they brought on these, practically no-named actors. They made this movie, and yes, it's cheap. Yes, it's cheesy as all hell. But the actors that are in it, they are acting their little butts off.
They committed to that script. I've
seen
bits and pieces.
It was never intended to be released. They even sent once the movie had wrapped, they even sent the cast on like a publicity tour. The actors had to pay for the travel and everything themselves.
Oh my gosh.
But they did it. They did all of this stuff and they promoted the crap out of this movie, and then it was never going to be released. I have a copy of it though. And it's bad. Yes, it's cheap. Yes, you can't understand a word that Dr. Doom says, and he talks with his hands more than a Power Rangers villain. But it has heart. It's got heart. The acting that is there is, yes, it's bad, but it's done well. If that makes any sense at all, it's surprisingly good for what it is.
Right.
It's unknown actors who this was probably one of their first big roles. They got paid for, so they were passionate about it, but it doesn't mean that they have honed their craft to make a good movie.
And they are all
horrible movie.
And even if they were great actors, if the script is terrible, script is terrible.
All four of these actors, they're like working actors. If you look at their IMDb pages, any of them, that's all like a mile long. Of course, it's all like, day player on certain such show. But yeah, these are guys that like they work for a living.
Right.
Those are the ones that have so much passion for it.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of movies that aren't even on my list.
I know.
Well, you're doing a great job of it so far.
I know.
So I'm going to go on my list, and we were talking about on like Beastmaster, how like number 2 went to the future and everything. Oh, there it is. Did you see that?
There it is, real quick. There it is.
And even the thing, look at the thing. It's a rubber suit with tiny arms, but he looks better than the Michael Chiklis version did.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. So the Human Torch guy.
Yeah.
That's Jay Underwood. He played the boy who could fly.
Yeah.
In the 1980s.
Yes, he did.
That's ironic that he played the Human Torch.
Also a boy who could fly.
Okay.
Wow.
That, by the way, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but I love that movie so much. It was very, very intense for like young girl to watch. It was like I didn't understand half of what was going on until I was older, but it's a really good movie. But one that's on my list, we're talking about the Beastmaster going to the future in part 2. Well, this one takes one of my favorite franchises of all times, and it made it go to Earth. It was just not good.
For reason?
No good Earth.
That is Masters of the
Universe.
Oh.
my God. So I have to put this on the list. I have such a love for the He-Man universe and the characters, especially Evil Lyn and Skeletor. And
Evil Lyn looked awesome in that movie.
oh my God.
The Skeletor wasn't bad either.
No.
You know what's great about that? Frank Langella is playing Skeletor in that movie. So here you have this like gigantically huge actor who's like critically acclaimed, has done all these fantastic roles over the years, and to this day, very unironically, says that Skeletor is still his favorite role that he's ever played.
It was fun. It was a fun movie, but it was not
Good.
the He-Man movie I wanted. It was not good. The script was terrible.
Yes.
AJ hit it right on the head. It was not a He-Man movie.
No.
He-Man movie. It was let's take these He-Man characters and throw them into some kind of weird movie and let's see what happens. But I love
He-Man
it.
meets Last Starfighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I love it because it was part of my childhood coming to like live action, which is something that we didn't like. Lex and my grandkids, that generation, there's a lot of live action. Like they've made all kinds of cartoons into live action.
Right.
That's not something that happened when we were kids. They really didn't do that often. They would take live action and make it into cartoons.
Right.
So that was another one of those movies that has some like weird behind the scenes stuff, because it was like why they brought them here, that I don't know, other than just budget.
Yeah.
Like budget had a large portion to do with it, but like they originally were starting off with Orko in the movie, and I forget what it was. Something about a rights issue made them change Orko to Queldor.
Yeah.
Billy Barty's character. And then if you watch the big epic fight scene between He-Man and Skeletor at the end of the movie, suddenly you go from this like giant throne room to just them kind of fighting in like very close-up shots in the dark.
Yeah.
The reason for that, they were about a week away from wrapping filming. That was the last sequence that they had to film. And the studio completely just pulled the plug on them. They're like, your budget is gone.
Right.
We're not giving you any more money. They're basically like, production is officially ended as of now. And they're like, we haven't filmed the final battle scene.
Yeah.
So the director himself, yeah. So the director himself literally was like, Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella, I need you guys to like come over to my house this weekend, and basically went out into his garage, for lack of better terms, and just shot them in very close-up shots in the dark and just threw it in there.
Yeah. And it shows.
Yeah.
I mean,
it does. No.
Oh, shows. Like you're like, okay, here's the thing with it. The costumes were pretty cool. Like
some of them, yeah.
They were pretty cool. Like Evil Lyn, beautiful in this.
I never understood why they, instead of using like Trapjaw or Triclops or any of those like cool bad guys, they like made up all the henchmen.
Right.
I don't. Maybe
they used V-Stand for what?
A few seconds,
seconds, and then he got killed by Skeletor.
Right.
That made no sense.
There's also a fun little Easter egg. That was one of the first movies where they like had it when the of course, the cartoon's going on about this time. It was close to wrapping up at that point, but they held a contest to win a spot in the movie, and some kid won. There is just a random person that's like a pig boy, basically. In the credits, he's listed as Pig Boy, just kind of standing in Skeletor's throne room. That is just some kid that won a contest to have a spot in the He-Man movie.
Was it, now correct me if I'm wrong, but He-Man, the Masters Universe movie, was one of the first movies to have a post-credit scene, if I remember right.
One of, yeah.
Yeah.
To like
where he comes up out of, the bottom of Grayskull and says he's going to be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Which
He's never been back.
No, you won't.
I have to say that how bad the Masters of the Universe movie was. That's I personally feel, and this is my opinion, is why a lot of the studios nowadays won't commit to actually doing one, because they're afraid it's going to completely bomb like the last one did.
They've had it like announced, and then they had actors drop out.
Pulled it out, and then it
drop out. Everybody pulled out. Writers pulled out.
Which I'm glad the last actor dropped out, because the last dude they had attached to it.
Noah from
yes,
little scrawny kid that looks like he's 15. I'm like, for Prince Adam, maybe.
Adam, that's fine.
He's no He-Man.
No.
But the thing about it is, it's just, I really want them to make it right, and with all of the nostalgia that's going on in Hollywood right now, and remaking things and stuff, I'm hoping, but I want it to be done right, and that's the thing. This one was not done right, but I love it still because it was one of the first live action movies made from one of the cartoons.
Right.
It and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, but I do not consider them bad movies.
No.
So
on the long lines of that, I completely forgot about one of my worst movies.
Yes.
Mario Brothers.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I mean, the Mario Brothers Saturday morning cartoon with Lou Albano was a better Mario Brothers than the movie we got. But yeah, totally. Just talking about Master Universe, like, oh yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That's so good. That movie, my sister, that was one of her favorites, and she would have us watch it all the time. It was weird. She had a weird taste in movies because it was Dirty Dancing and that, and we would watch them on a loop on Sundays because she got to control the TV on Sundays. So.
Oh gosh.
There you go.
Yeah. There it is.
Young John Leguizamo. Yeah, can't talk.
Oh my God, look at that. That is so bad. I'm just saying. It looks
Goombas were mushrooms. How they got these big dinosaurs for Goombas when in the video?
You just answered your question. How did they get those? Mushrooms. That's how they got to that movie. It all makes sense now.
Clarity happens.
Oh my gosh.
That is so beautiful. That's a good one. I hadn't even thought about that one, and then you mentioned it. I was like, yes.
I thought about it earlier, but I don't enjoy that movie, so I didn't.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at with that one. I'm like, no.
I didn't say I enjoy it. It's just
classic bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just classic bad.
I hadn't thought about that movie at all.
They should have done that movie like they did the E.T. Atari game, just buried in a landfill.
Yeah. So
now those are worth a lot of money. I want.
They are now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a couple on my list that are going to be very controversial.
Okay.
So I'm going to get to those first.
Okay.
Like jumping to my actual list here. I'll go with the lesser of the two controversial ones. This movie is. I don't know. I can't remember who I saw it in the theater with, but I know that both of us truly enjoyed the hell out of it. And then that was it. Everybody else I've ever spoke to absolutely despised it. But that was movie 43. I actually loved movie 43. Like, was it terrible? Yes, it was. And it was supposed to be terrible. It was basically the Kentucky Fried movie for this generation.
Right.
And that's why I liked it, because the Kentucky Fried movie is one of my favorite movies ever. And it was just completely stupid, dumb, turn your brain off and just pretend like you're 13 again. Fun.
That is
Yeah, I don't care. I liked it.
A very young Hugh Jackman.
Yes. Yes.
And that movie, it's another one of those, like, once you learn all the behind the scenes stuff, it's kind of a genius movie because all of those actors, you got these giant named actors that, I mean, look at these people. You got Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Emma Stone, Halle Berry, Richard Gere, you know, and like for the most part, all of these actors were basically tricked into doing the movie. They literally were like, they thought they were signing on for like different projects or whatever. And then once they actually got down to it, they were like, this is what we're doing. And by then they were just contractually obligated. So it just ended up happening. But like, look into it sometime. The behind the scenes stuff on that is fascinating, to say the least.
Let's not
but
forget
it's just dumb fun.
The biggest name on there, though, in 43 was Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
The biggest star.
Yeah. I mean, you got Gerard Butler playing a leprechaun. You got Hugh Jackman playing a guy with
issues.
We'll say an interesting chin neck area.
Oh my God.
That's as far as I'm going with that.
I forgot how bad that movie was. Oh
yeah,
I forgot how bad that movie was.
I love it.
D, this is what we're here to remind you that
some things I have file 13 and
sometimes we just need a bad movie. Sometimes you just need a bad movie.
Yes, you do.
You know it's bad, and you still have to watch it. So
yeah,
yes, it's the flipping through and it's on, and you're like,
yeah, right.
No, you're right.
I don't know what it is about these movies, but there's just something that it draws you into them, and then you've wasted 2 hours of your life, and you do it over and over again for some of these movies, and it's. But that's
our list. Why am I still here? Why am I still here?
Why are my eyes are bleeding? That's weird.
You said I've been with the remote, and I'm like, it's like midnight, and it's when my kids were little, and I put them to bed, and I'm just sitting, and I can watch anything at this point, and I'm like flipping through, and there's a movie, and it's like, oh, this is a bad movie, and I have the remote, I can change.
It's there. It's in your hand. You have the power.
I don't. And then, like, you're an hour and a half into it, and you're like, oh, it's only got 15 minutes left. Oh, I might as well finish.
Right. Might as well. Why am I? Don't want to quit now.
Speaking of all of that, like forgetting about a movie and then finding it on TV, Dee mentioned one to me that I also watched when it like first came out and loved it. But not loved it and hated it at the same time. But not only did you actually sit there through the whole thing, but had to come back a second night to finish it.
Oh, it's a miniseries. Was it a TV?
It was a miniseries.
Two-part miniseries, yeah.
What was that, Dee? Go ahead.
Wasn't it Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yes.
With Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff.
What?
Oh, it was. I actually was going through a few years ago. I had gotten a VCR DVD burner, so I was going through like old VHS tapes looking for anything. Yes.
You got
looking for anything that I
could. Agent Coulson in the back.
Yeah. Looking for anything that I could move over to DVD. And I actually had that on VHS, and so I sat and watched it again. And it is so bad.
It's bad.
It is, but it's wonderfully bad. But what's weird? Like the weirdest thing I could say about it, okay, so we've got Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in the MCU, based off of the Nick Fury from the Ultimates timeline. Right. As far as classic Fury, David Hasselhoff was actually pretty good.
Wasn't bad.
The movie was terrible. The acting in it was terrible, but the Hoff was actually pretty decent in it.
Did he sing? That's the question
He
we
did
all
not.
have. No, see, no.
At least
So-
not in the version I saw. I mean,
No, I've never seen this. I've always wanted to, but David Hasselhoff looks alike what classic Nick Fury looks like right there. I mean, that is a really good look.
What are you doing? Are you trying to
You kind of sort of said, just hey.
Sneaking around there, huh? I see.
Now here's a little thing. He only sung in the German cut.
That may be true. Now he does sing
German
with Guardians of
audiences.
Galaxy 2. Guardians of Galaxy 2, he's got a song. So there you go.
Oh my God.
And what people forget is the MCU came along well after, because Marvel was in trouble financially. So they sold off all of their characters to basically help stay afloat. And that's why you've got Spider-Man over with Sony, and you had Fox had the X-Men and Fantastic Four, but then you had all these other places that had different characters over the years, and that's why you see these movies that never went anywhere, like the Nick Fury and the class of the '90s Captain America, and then
the Doctor Strange movie.
The Doctor Strange movie.
What was that from the '70s?
If you can even find it.
That's a weird movie.
Like 76, I think.
Yeah.
45 years old.
So all those are out there. So now we're bringing everything back together. Everything's under the MCU, but not always was it there. Now, there was an MCU movie that happened in the 80s, though, and I think it's on somebody's list.
It's on
mine. Yeah.
It's on my list, and it is known as, people always talk about it being one of the worst superhero movies ever. And it's one of those movies I watched as a kid, and I loved it, and I still love it. Though now, as an adult, I see things in it, and I'm like, oh, that's creepy.
Can I preface this that, like, this is a comic book that I grew up reading and loved. And, like, even after that, whenever they started doing MCU, I'm like, I want this character back. I want him back. We got him.
A little bit.
Did
you see What If, by the way? Have you seen What If?
Have you seen What If?
Yes, he was in What If.
And I want a new movie. I doubt it's going to happen, but I want it.
Maybe he shows up in Guardians. Maybe it's a full-time character. Well, I mean,
he's been
more
in both,
of a real character.
He showed up in both Guardians and in Avengers Endgame. He was in the final battle during Endgame.
And of course, we're talking about Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
And by the way, Leah Thompson.
Yeah,
she's a thing of beauty.
We watched Back to the Future the other day, and Spoo was like, I forgot how pretty she was.
Yeah.
Like when she comes on, like the first time when he's like, "Mom, is that you?" and she turns on the light, and it's younger.
Yeah.
I had the biggest crush on Leah Thompson when I was a kid, especially watching Howard the Duck.
Right.
Oh, and she,
I know Quack Fu.
Howard the Duck.
There's an MCU movie right there with nudity.
Yeah.
Because
duck nudity.
Yeah.
Duck nudity. Right.
Duck nudity.
Right in the first 40 seconds of the movie.
Yes, right off the bat. Here you go, full duck.
They went full duck. Is that what you said?
But when you're a kid, you don't pick up. You don't. It's just this fun movie. And it wasn't until I was older and I watched it again and I was like, oh, this is so wrong. Some of these things, like my parents were strict on some of the things I watched. I am shocked this went through. Like, I am not even joking.
They just missed it.
They missed it. They were like, oh yeah, it's a cute duck. Okay, you could watch it.
Talk about Leah.
Duck nudity. I mean, be honest. How many times had you seen that movie and then one day you're watching and you're like, has that always been there?
Yes.
So when I saw it at the drive-in, those were the biggest set of duck breasts I've ever seen.
Once you go duck, you'll never go back.
So talking about Leah Thompson, our good friend Tim has this to say.
Yes. I was going to say, I have a copy of it.
Absolutely, Tim.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're with you, Tim. And Tim, thanks for watching, buddy. We appreciate you watching. So, but yes. Most definitely.
Speaking of Tim, we have something to mention later on in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if we said that at the beginning, but
we have an announcement to make.
and it involves Tim. So
Sure
it involves Tim.
Yeah,
I'm curious how it involves Tim. That'll be interesting. All right, Tim, stay tuned. I hope you know.
He does know.
He's probably like, what are they talking about?
What? Was I asleep when you were talking to me? Because I have no idea. All right. Okay.
So we got Howard the Duck done.
We've got Howard the Duck done. Okay, let me throw one out here. So Christmas time is that special time of year where you get together as a family, you're watching movies together, those Christmas specials. Even, some of us watch Die Hard, maybe Lethal Weapon, because those are Christmas movies also. But, for the kids, really it's about Santa Claus. And what's more Santa Claus than Santa Claus versus the Martians?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Santa Claus conquers the Martians.
This movie is totally nuts.
It is. It's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 classic.
Skeletor Saves Christmas.
Yes.
But this is awesome. I stop and watch this every time I can find it on. I'm like, oh my God. And I try to convince my kids, like, hey, let's watch this Christmas movie. And they're like, what is this? What are we watching? Now, I did convince my son to watch a Christmas movie with me and showed him Gremlins. And since then, he's been a little skeptical. But
we mentioned that in our discussion on the drive home today. But have you also seen just Santa Claus, also known as Santa Claus versus Satan?
No, I've not seen that one. Oh my gosh.
It was another classic from MST3K, but it was made in Mexico, I believe. But yeah, it's like Santa Claus versus the devil, and it's interesting.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Also, it goes back to that mushroom theory from earlier.
Well, and that's kind of how conquers the Martians, because they don't really battle at all. It's an odd thing. Anyway, Tim has something else to say, so we thank you, Tim. We love you too.
Tim's awesome.
Tim is awesome. I agree.
So Santa Claus versus the Martians is what you get when you shop your costumes at the Dollar Tree.
Yes.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
$25, go make a costume.
You mentioned how they don't actually fight in there. I mean, to be fair, it's not versus the Martians.
It's conquers
the Martians.
But
it's because after the movie was over, he just enslaved them and turned them into elves. It comes up in the sequel. Santa enslaves the Martians. But I try to make jokes. I fail sometimes, most of the time. But I try.
It's the trying that counts.
Yeah.
It is.
Where are we at?
See, I thought Professor was going to go to the classic He-Man Saves Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a movie, but that would have been up there if we could have gone there. Yeah.
How many Saves Christmas movies are there?
Oh my God!
Good Lord! How many days are in the year?
All I know is the movie I've always wanted to see was the fake movie in Scrooge. I think it was in Scrooge where Lee Majors saves Santa.
Yes.
I've always wanted to see. I'm like, I would pay to see that. That looked like a ton of fun. It's Lee Majors, a $6 million man.
Brian, he drives I'm here now. And Santa has a machine gun.
Yes! I would have so watched that. So, anyway.
Santa's in the new Expendables.
Yeah.
Santa's here to save Christmas.
Oh
It's just a movie called Santa's Sleigh. I bet it's like sleigh as in kill.
Yeah.
Well, that was in
that starred Bill Goldberg, didn't it?
No.
Yeah. Wait. They did something very similar to that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, they also had one in Ernest Saves Christmas.
Yeah.
Where the
Santa
guy who's supposed to be becoming Santa was because I thought it was Santa's sleigh because of the sleigh and the real Santa's like, oh, that sounds nice, yeah. And like, no, not this.
We apologize. This is the portion of the broadcast where Spoo and I come off the rails.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's
The
okay.
rails?
Usually called the whole
The
episode.
rails, yes, we come off the rails.
Where are the rails at? Is it near the box that I've never found?
Yeah, more likely, it's some assembly required. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and to clarify, we are coming off of the rails, not doing rails.
Yes.
If that, I mean, I know it may seem that way sometimes, but
Is that close to doing planks?
okay. So should I throw out my other controversial one, or should I save that?
Yes. Well, let's actually.
It's your turn. So.
Okay. Well, there's a little Tim coming.
I'll don my Santa suit. I just need some Martians to follow me around.
You know what, Tim?
Got a deal.
Tim,
We can dress up as the Martians. Yes.
I will be a Martian for you, Tim. Okay, guys. My boss is texting me. I got to answer her real fast. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So my other controversial one, and this one's gonna hurt. I know, but that's okay. Just came out. Christmas before last, and but yeah, Cats. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Now, having said that, is the CGI good? No, it is not. Couple of times, there's a few spots in there where it's okay and it doesn't bother me, whatever. But there are also some of the worst CGI moments I've ever seen in a big budget movie, and that's even after the cleaned up version that they re-released. I love it because I've always loved the musical Cats. And in that aspect, it is a fun representation of that. There's a couple of versions of songs I'm not crazy about, but beyond that, I liked it.
I'm sorry. This is a movie that could have been done with all practical effects.
Yes.
And it would have looked
Absolutely.
fantastic.
They could have done it just like they do it on the stage.
Yep.
Right.
Same outfits that they use on the stage, and it would have been
phenomenal.
Chef's kiss. It would have been beautiful. The CGI is what is the one thing, or the biggest thing. We won't say the one thing, but the biggest thing that hurt that movie. If it wasn't for the CGI, like if you can just close your eyes and or ignore the CGI and get past it and just watch the dancing, listen to the music in it. There's even an original song in there that oddly enough was written by Taylor Swift, but even it fits with the feel of Cats. It is kind of tonally a little different, but it fits somehow. But even that song, I really liked it. I thought the performances were great. There was the only real performance issues that I have with it was Rebel Wilson. I'm not crazy about Rebel. She's too over the top. In some roles, like say Pitch Perfect or whatever, that works fine. In a movie like Cats, it was completely unnecessary, and I didn't get it. But beyond that, I mean, I liked it for the because of the fact that I liked the musical Cats. It was a good representation of that, minus the CG.
Right. The interesting thing, because of that movie, my daughter, who's never seen the musical Cats, she's just read all of the stuff about the movie and all that. She just, she just thinks it's like, oh, well, that's horrible. I'm like, I was a theater geek. Yeah. I was in theater in college and in high school. And one of the things that we would always say is, if somebody did a good performance, how was my performance?
Better than Cats.
It was, I laughed, I cried. It was better than Cats.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge compliment. And so I said that, and she's like, Cats is horrible. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, you don't understand. This was the musical forever in the late 80s.
Back in like the mid 90s, they put out, basically it was the Broadway production, but they filmed it like a movie. So it had like a 360 set and all this stuff. If you want to see what Cats should look like, watch that version. It is, I mean, when she sings Memories at the end, it makes me tear up. I mean, Jennifer Hudson's version of Memories was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one is phenomenal. But yeah, no, I enjoyed Cats. I saw it in the theater.
You did. You saw it before they like.
By myself, I might add.
Yes, he did. He went by himself because I had to work.
No, you were going to see Little Women that night. And so you dropped me off, and I saw Cats, and then you went and saw Little Women.
Yes, I remember that. And you
with Dakota, I think.
Yeah, before they CG'd the butts.
I was trying to see. They weren't. So it was still the original version that they released. And if you don't know, so they released the version that we had. Like, if you remember, the trailers for Cats looked way worse than the movie did. So they released it in the theaters, and then about a week later, they released an updated version with like way better CGI, and still Uncanny Valley on steroids, but still. But I wanted to see the bad version of it, and they had both versions. We were friends with the projectionist. They weren't supposed to swap it over to the new one until like the Monday or whatever following, or the Friday following, or whatever. And this was the day before the day they were supposed to change it, but they had gone ahead and changed it, unfortunately. Yeah. So I didn't get to see the original.
He was really looking forward to seeing the bad.
I did not, and nor will I ever see that movie. I just, because growing up a theater nerd, growing up a theater nerd, Cats and Phantom were like the thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I saw this coming out, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And I saw it was all going to be CGI, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. It would have been better off doing it like the Broadway production.
Yeah. We were talking about while you were off camera. If they'd done it in practical effects, it would have been so much better.
So much better.
Yes.
And here's the thing, and I think a lot of movies that people consider bad now would be better if they did practical effects. CG, I get the idea behind it and the popularity of it, but some movies just don't need it.
No.
Right.
There's a lot of filmmakers going back to practical effects here recently, and that makes me happy. Like, CG is good for some things that you can't do practically, or to beef up something that is practical, but it should only be used in those two scenarios.
Yeah.
I was thrilled when The Mandalorian did 90% practical effects.
Right.
They could have so easily done a lot of that with CGI, and then we would have got Baby Yoda from episode 2.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing is I like that. This is one of the reasons I like old movies, is the practical makeup, like actually and makeup, and yes, it's fun to just take a person and transform them in a computer. It's like easier, and the actor doesn't have to be in the makeup for so long, and then you can put them in any world that you want and stuff. But I miss the little things, that little touches from sets. And
you look at something like, say, Darkseid from the Zack Snyder Justice League or something. Okay, yeah, looks good. The Zack Snyder version, not the theatrical version, looks good. It's good. It's not great, but it's good. And then you look at something like, say, Tim Curry in Legend.
Right.
That's exactly
enough said.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like a lot of these movies, just because CGI is the new standard, they use it. But there's a reason that these movies that I love so much from the past they still hold up, is because of that practical thing. We did a mini-series. We talked about a mini-series a while ago. A mini-series that we watched last year during lockdown is V. All practical, like makeup, ripping face, the baby.
All the green screen you could want.
Yes, but it still held
holds
up.
up.
It does.
Yeah. It's a great. Well, I think we talked about that recently, because I did a review on it, because I went back and rewatched it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It holds up, and so
it does.
Just like, I think Cats would have been way more successful if they would have just done what Broadway has done with Cats for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a few comments here, which is good because that means we've got viewers that are watching and interacting with us. So Mandy's got this to say about Sandy Claus.
Sandy Claus.
Sandy Claus.
Tim has this to say.
Release the butthole cut. Yes! Yes! Get it trending.
Get that trending on Twitter right now.
Coming to HBO
I'm
Max.
so happy.
Release the butthole cut. Mason has this to say.
Oh, God. They should have
Practical
gone
effect.
with
Yep.
Absolutely.
And
Oh my god.
Buttons cut.
then.
Oh,
All right. Thank you guys for your
Oh,
comments.
that's
We love
great.
those comments. And as I see them come in, I try to get to them as quick as we can. We can't
But
always get them on
sometimes-
right away. Right. People are talking. You can't just throw stuff in there. Well, Dee, what other one do you have? What's next on your
I
list?
don't know if you could find a clip, but we were talking about bad CGI. And I love giant monster movies.
Yeah.
yes.
I love them. But Young Gary from like 2001 is the absolute worst, and I mean worst CGI I have ever seen. Like yes,
God.
that's the one. That's
That's
the
like
one.
right up there with The Rock from The Mummy 2.
No,
Oh.
it's worse.
Look at that. It's worse.
Wow. That looks like a cartoon.
It literally, if you scroll through images that you find on like Google, this is two different movies.
Uh-huh.
Back in the 60s, Young Gary was a man in a rubber suit movie, which
Right.
was a really good movie. It was Korea's answer to Godzilla.
Right.
And it was a decent movie. This movie, however, came out shortly after Godzilla 98, and it made fun of that movie. Hello, Audrey, too. It made fun of that movie in this movie, but it was just horrible enough that once you start watching it, you're trapped. Because if you stop watching it, your brain's going to seize up. You're going to keel over dead. Blood's going to run out your nose. You have to finish it.
It's a suicide
Your
watch.
phone rings and whispers 7 days after it's over.
Yep.
I love that. No, I'm with you, Dion. I love anything with like giant monsters, giant spiders.
Yep.
Like that's why I love the 1950s and 60s sci-fi movies, because they were giant everything.
Right.
Like,
A whole
Right.
episode all by itself. Just
We haven't done grasshoppers yet. Give me grasshoppers.
Isn't it
But,
time
you know,
for
like-
the praying mantis?
Yeah. We've done that one.
Yep.
Yep. And then, they even made a woman 50 foot tall.
Yeah.
So, but
They even
no.
made Lloyd or Jeff Bridges like a giant at one point. Village of the Giants.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
That's
I love
right.
it.
That was a whole TV series, Land of the
Yep.
Giants.
Yeah. But no, I love
Your screen keeps flashing to something. What is that?
mine.
What?
Larry. It was like a Fight Club moment. There was like a single frame where it flashed to something. I've seen it twice now.
You're seeing
It's
things.
subliminal to make sure to go to GeekyKOOL.com and check us out.
Your one-stop shop for all things nerd.
So, no, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, that's weird.
But
Yeah.
no, I love that pick, D, because I love the monsters, and yeah, that one is really like you said. It feels like you start watching one movie and then it flips to another movie.
Yeah,
and
right.
You flip the channel, but you haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those, and then you're like, "What did they just?" But this isn't what I
Kind
was.
of like that one that you and I talked about earlier, D.
Yeah.
That we did a trailer rip for.
Yeah. Oh my God. The bed that eats.
Deathbed.
Yeah.
The bed that eats.
Oh. You go from like this mob movie to this Martha Stewart-esque movie.
It can't decide if it's like a family adventure type movie with, I don't know, like a love story kind of thing where it's like just people out having a picnic and whatever, or if it's a horror movie about a bed that eats people or anything that you put on it for that matter, or if it's a comedy, or if they had no ideas. They just made it up as they went along. I mean, the final shot of the movie is the bed eating an entire bottle of Pepto-Bismol.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the weirdest. It's you can't even say it's the weirdest movie. It's just the weirdest experience. If you can find this movie anywhere, streaming, download it, I don't care. You must watch this movie because it will change your life.
Did you just say must watch this movie?
You want to watch after the movie?
Sure, why not?
The bed sheets are really important to watch.
Want to watch after the movie. You might want to wash out the DVD player after the movie. But
I was like, did he forget the tea? Like, must watch this movie.
I don't know. I need a drink. I think I might have dry mouth going on, so maybe that's what it was. But
we may all need a drink after this. I don't know.
Yes,
several drinks after.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I don't know. Should I tell them about my pitch idea, Dee? Since we're talking about bad movies.
This is hilarious. Yes, please do.
So Dee and I have been talking a lot. We're going to start using this type of format and start bringing the show back, kind of thing. We haven't figured out scheduling wise or whatever yet, but we're going to start doing some stuff using StreamYard to do that. And so I came up with an idea. I was like, I've always wanted to do something involving bad movies. That's why we did trailer riffs and stuff like that. We've talked about bad movies on the show, but I had an idea, and I don't know if we'll do this. I don't know if I could even handle doing this, but I had the idea of watching a bad movie. So this is the show's premise. The show's premise is this episode, we watch a bad movie. Before we start the movie, we would have to pre-screen it, or one of us would have to pre-screen it so that we can turn. Thank you. We can turn the movie that we're going to be watching into a drinking game. Then, as we're watching the bad movie, we're taking drinks every time whatever thing that's bad happens.
Somebody is going to die.
We're going to get drunker and drunker as the movie goes on. Then, once the movie is over and we're completely hammered, we then review the movie. And you could call it Screenshots.
I like it.
So, anyone steals that idea, it's recorded here.
Copyrighted.
My idea. So maybe or maybe not coming soon. I don't know.
Coming to a screen.
I'm gonna have to maybe train a little bit. My liver is gonna have to do some workout.
That's why I was like, maybe one episode a month.
Yeah.
We'll see. Once every 2 or 3 months. I don't know.
I'm the best. He said he was thirsty. I got him some soda.
You are so good. You're so kind.
Thank you.
You are. We've got a couple of comments from Mandy.
Yay, Mandy! Stay tuned because you want to hear our announcement.
You do.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The bed that eats sounds like too many people in charge.
No, so the problem was
or nobody
in charge.
Yeah.
It's like
yes, thank you. Right.
It is like Drunk History.
It's like a cross between Drunk History meets Best of the Worst on Red Letter Media. Yeah.
I love the idea. I think you guys would do that, but I do think that I know that one up there couldn't handle doing it every day.
Not every day. I don't really. Yeah. So it would have to be a once a month kind of thing. Just, not that I can't handle my alcohol or whatever. I stopped drinking years ago, and so it's not something that I do on a regular basis by any means. Not for any particular reason, just chose to basically. But it just sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a great show. So.
There. You've already got your first offer for a guest on your show, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
game for space. The more the merrier. If we could turn it into a big round table thing, that would be wonderful.
We're going to have to talk about it.
You like a 3 or 4 person panel?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So
We got to do bad movies though.
Oh God, yeah.
We have to depend on what we're drinking too. So
yes.
Just so you guys know, I will never be on the show because I don't drink.
You can.
I mean, the whole idea would be like, you can't get so hammered that you're too drunk to review the movie because that's got to come afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like, get a good buzz going kind of thing.
So because I haven't drank alcohol in the last 23 years, except for 2 sips of wine and a sip of champagne at a wedding, I think that I would be in trouble.
You would be in huge trouble. Mandy's got this to say, by the way.
Yes.
And Tim responds.
If shots are like brain stuff, the hard stuff would kill me by round 3.
Well, we'd have to figure out. We have to figure out what you're drinking because
what are we drinking? Is everybody doing their own? I think everybody could like do their own drink of choice. I think that's fair. You know what you can handle versus what I know I can handle, that type of thing.
So I think the Ozpod girls need to use that as they need to come on the show to be one of their challenge nights. So there you go.
You guys can have them on the show.
So I would love it to be like a 4-person roundtable thing. So like me, D, and then like 2 guests for the episode.
Well,
Mandy says she'll drink Sprite. So at least chocolate milk. I don't know.
But yeah, we would have like, if this happens, you take a lesser drink or whatever, or if this happens, it's a shot. That type of so that you're not like just completely wasted by the time the movie's over and then you fall asleep during the review.
We did make the rules for the show drinking game, so it shouldn't be too hard.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go. I love that idea. I think it would be hilarious.
So here's what Jason's got to say. The root variety. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. So let's get back to some of the movies. And,
right. Rails. I forgot.
I don't know what the rails you keep talking about are. I don't know what these boxes people have are either. I don't know.
No, it's okay.
Well, why would you want to think inside of one? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Listen, Professor, I keep telling you, I lost my box because I made something with it and sold it. That's all I'm saying.
Did it have my marbles in it? I think I've lost those too. Okay, all right, great.
Okay, so I have one, and Danny mentioned it today when we saw him, but this is a movie that I've actually reviewed for GeekyKOOL, and it is a terrible movie, but I love it, and it's The Stuff.
The Stuff.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's the most beautiful picture. Think about evil alien Cool Whip that takes over the world when you eat it, but it tastes delicious.
And we actually have a trailer riff for The Stuff.
For The Stuff.
Yes, that is one of my favorites that we've done.
That picture right there is get in my belly.
It really is. That almost looks like Gina Davis there.
She
kind
does
of cool if you quickly look, yeah.
It's like Gina Davis mixed with somebody. I can't put my finger on who. No.
There's a horrible movie I like.
What?
I remember what
the Gina Davis pirate movie. I forget what the name of that one was.
Oh my God.
We'll come back to that. Sorry,
Cutthroat Island.
Yeah,
Cutthroat Island.
I can see the poster for it.
Yeah, Cutthroat Island. It was Gina Davis and Matthew Modine.
Oh my God!
I saw it in the theater.
I did too. I liked it.
2 or 3 times. I worked there at the time, so it was free. But still.
Why'd you like The Stuff, AJ? Why'd you like The Stuff?
Yeah, tell us about The Stuff.
The Stuff it's one of those movies, again, childhood movies, but it was scary, but funny at the same time. I couldn't decide when I was a kid if it was a comedy or a horror movie.
Right.
Like, now that I'm older, I realize that there's the beauty of a comedy horror, but back when I was a kid, I was like, what's it supposed to be? But literally, it's about commercialism and people wanting to make money off of something just because they can. But as a kid, I just thought it was hilarious that people were eating Cool Whip and getting like the KOOL was taking them over and using their bodies to kill other people, and they were
like it comes out of the ground for one. They find it in the ground.
Yeah.
They package it, sell it. You eat it, then it kills you, and then comes back out of you to kill someone else physically. Yeah, it's
the weirdest thing. And then like the little boy in it, I just kept thinking to myself, do people not miss him? Like he goes, like I understand his family is like overtaken, but like no one, like he's just
nobody else remembered him. It's gone.
So was it in the 80s? Because kids would just
yeah.
But I just thought this movie was like when I watched it, and I reviewed it for GeekyKOOL because it's one of those movies that's just bad, but I love it. I love it so much. And
that was one of my favorite trailer riffs that we did too. It was just like this stuff or something, and every sentence ended with us saying, "And it sucks."
And it's that one along the lines of the stuff. I also remember very vividly the Japanese zombie turd movie.
Yeah. Zombie ass. Yeah.
Zombie ass. Yes.
Toilet of the Dead or something like that.
Toilet of the Dead, yeah.
I think it was Zombie Turd Toilet of the Dead because I
something
just
like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. It's like the second or third one on the playlist if you go to the
Zombie Turd.
Well, I'm so glad you corrected that because I'm sure people will be going through and Googling that intensely.
Listen, all you have to do is go to YouTube, go to Skallywag Productions, and they have a playlist.
YouTube.com/Skallywag Productions. That's Skallywag with a K, not a C. You can see it spelled right here.
And
I also have it next to mine too.
Yeah, yeah.
You can go to their playlist, and they have a playlist, and all of these trailers they riff. There's so many of them.
It's called Trailer Riff. There's like 60 videos on there or something like that. They're all a couple minutes long.
They're all bad movies.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. I've got one that's really bad, but it's not one of my favorites.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, and then we'll get to some comments here. There's a movie called Nice Girls Don't Explode from the 80s. I saw it in the theater. Yes. I think I was one of the 2 people that saw it that whole time it was in the theaters. I think it made like $4. I don't know. That movie is horrible. There's some funny parts to it, but that thing's just terrible.
That's the movie that they paid you to go see.
I've never seen it. But I've heard about it, and I want to say I heard about it. We actually heard about it when we were looking for movies to riff for trailer riffs, and we didn't do that one. I don't think.
Good one, yeah. Well,
it was on the list of ones to do.
Yeah, there's a funny scene of sorts at the very beginning of the movie. The concept of the movie is that this mom tells the girl that if she starts to get excited, she starts fires. It's a family trait. So anytime she starts to get sexually excited, fires will spurt up, and then if she gets, has an orgasm, she'll explode. So
we didn't riff it, but we used part of it as an intro to an episode of
that's right.
Name Challenge.
There you go.
Big movie titles.
There you go. At the very beginning, it shows that the mom is trying to wash the daughter. She's standing and doing dishes. She has the daughter tied on to one of those dog leashes that expand out. And then she can walk across where the clothesline is. So she can go as far out as the clothesline will let her, and then the dog leash will go. And she sees this boy playing over in this mud puddle, naked. And he's just having a good time. And she wants to go over there. And then she sees this cat. And then the next thing you see is the cat's moving back slowly with its paws like this, trying not to be flung. And the girl's over there playing, and then it flashes back to the mom doing dishes, and all of a sudden you hear, wow, and the cat goes flying. That's the best part of the whole movie right there.
We learned about a movie earlier today that I'm not going to mention on here. Because it is so not family friendly. But remind me after the episode, and I will tell the 2 of you because
we were
wow.
about it. reading about bad movies, and we were reading about it, and this one is the worst of the worst.
I will give you a hint, and this will explain why I'm not going to mention it on the show here. It is an adult film. We'll put it that way. And it is one of the first known adult film parodies that was made in the 60s. It was a parody of the Batman television show.
There you go.
Was not discovered until, there is no known existence for it. Was made in the 60s, but it was not known to exist until the 90s or 2000s, early 2000s.
90s. They found it in a adult theater in the storeroom, and one copy of it, and then they watched it and they sold it to. And
it has now gone down as one of the worst movies ever made.
And
I gotta Google that. Hang on.
And I'm gonna tell you this: people who review adult movies said it is. One person was like, "It is the worst adult movie ever made, and we make bad movies."
the family-friendly version of the title, D, since you're looking it up, Bat. We'll say cat. Yeah, but not cat. I'm sure you can get there with that. So yeah.
Huh.
We found a clip of it. I mean, nothing showing whatever, but a clip on it, even on YouTube, even. Wow. Oh, wow.
Make sure you clear the browser history after you're done with that, D.
Yes. Oh, wow. Anyway. Instead of a Batmobile, she has one of those balls that you sit on and bounce.
Balls from the one from Don't Tell Mom the Baby's Almost Dead that they're playing with at Toys R Us. Big ball.
Yeah.
Instead of a Batmobile, she's comes out and she's doing this.
On the side of the highway, there's traffic driving by. There's this girl in this Batman costume on a bouncy ball.
All right.
And
there we go.
That's
all
so
right. Let's move on to some comments here. So
I'm sorry.
Here's something from Jason here. Garrett Morris hasn't been as good.
Yes.
Yes.
Are we sure that that's the real Garrett Morrison still left? I mean, it is the stuff after all.
That's true.
It took him over. His brain is now like marshmallow
that may be
fluff.
True. Just don't eat any sort of fluff that he might give you. All right. Mandy is this to say. Right on, Mandy. I love that movie.
It was a fun movie. I watched it not too terribly long ago, about a year or so ago.
It's horrible, but I think it was fun. I don't know. I would have watched the sequel.
Good are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's true. All right. And Jason's got this to say. He's got a question, and I think this one probably is up Sprue's alley.
Okay. No, I'm late to the show, but has anyone mentioned Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? We have not. But that is another one that is universally kind of panned and deserves a little more credit than it's given. I think people hate it mostly just because it doesn't have Michael in it. But if you go back and watch it again and just keep in your mind that this is not a Michael Myers movie. This is just a weird thing tapping on Halloween thing like it was supposed to be. While yes, it's bad. Yes, it's cheesy. It does have its merits. It is still an enjoyable B movie.
The problem is it has the title Halloween 3.
Yeah.
If you could remove that, it would be
like
a
just
better
season
movie.
Yeah.
But
season
I think
of the Witch.
When you throw that Halloween in there and it's that context, people automatically assume that it's going to be that it's going to have Michael Myers in it, and when it didn't, then it just kind of bleh.
Well, wasn't the original idea that the Halloween movies were going to all be Michael Myers?
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with Shmoo. I it's still not a good movie. Like it's really not. But I think that people. Oh, that's hilarious. It's something I would do, not him. People are just disappointed in the fact that it's not what they expected it to be.
Right.
Hold on a second.
Are you coming in here? Oh, he's disappeared. But yeah, no, Jason, it is a bad movie, but it's not as bad as people think. It just
gets a bad rep because it doesn't have Michael in it.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not a good movie by any means, but it's better than people give it credit for.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of these movies are. Here's the thing: when we are doing these lists, these lists are really hard to come up with. Like way harder than people expect them to be. Like you give somebody and say, "Hey, what's your favorite movie of?" Larry and I do like decades. We do like half a decade at a time, when people are like, "Oh, it shouldn't be hard to come up with like 5 movies you like from 1950 to 1955," and I'm like, it's way harder than you guys think.
Way hard.
Narrow it down.
My list originally had literally about 15 or 20 movies on it.
Yeah.
And then you have to go through and go, which ones are going to fit the criteria of what we're doing and what we're talking about the most.
Right.
And all movies are like music and like art are subjective. So the things I like, you might not like, and vice versa. But that's what's really great about having like a panel like what we have tonight, because we all like something a little different, but we all have things that we all enjoy that it's similar to. So thank you guys for being on here tonight.
Yeah. Well, Jason also has this to say about one of his favorite bad movies.
The Room.
Yeah,
I made the stipulation of not mentioning The Room tonight.
That's almost like one of those given though. That's
Yeah.
like it's gonna be there.
It's on the
and then you've got movies like the Sharknadoes and stuff like that, which were intentionally bad. Which those, I don't. That's why even if I liked those movies, I don't count them just for that fact.
Anything
The Room
by Asylum Pictures or a Sci-Fi Channel exclusive will be on this list.
So you're telling me the Tiffany Debbie Gibson Mega Croc, whatever that one was, is not on the list? I don't know.
Yes,
I will give you
Titanoboa versus
watch Atlantic Rim and Atlantic Rim Uprising.
Watch 10-Headed Shark.
Yes.
But what do you guys think of this one? Should this be on the list?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It should be.
That's on my list. I love this movie. This movie is absolutely hysterical.
I just thought of another one that I should have picked.
The fact that it spawned its own cartoon.
Right.
And its sequel was one of George Clooney's first movies.
Oh, that I did not know.
Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes, or Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
But it made, I don't know why that made me think of one that should have been on the list, but Swamp Thing and Return of Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah, the Swamp Thing movies.
Now, Swamp Thing from back in the 80s is a good example of really good practical effects.
Especially the sequel or even the TV series.
Yeah.
That is on my top list of practical effect movies from
Absolutely.
The 80s. It was a horrible movie, but it was a great visual movie.
Yes.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is a classic, wonderful, like, if you have never seen it, please go watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It is so, like, stupid good.
Right. Right.
It reminds me of a trauma film almost.
Yes.
Exactly like a trauma film.
Without the nudity and vulgarity and like over the top gore.
Which speaking of trauma,
anything by Trauma, that is on my list.
Captain
Literally
Kabuki
anything. The
Man.
Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man,
yes,
whatever. I don't care. If it's a trauma film, I'm in.
I love Sergeant Kabuki Man.
Absolutely.
I really did.
And I mean, if it weren't for Trauma, we would not have James Gunn.
True.
That's true. So I had never watched a trauma film until I started dating my current boyfriend. And then he was like, "You must watch a trauma film," and I'm like, "Okay." And I loved them. They are. So
I showed her the beginning, the Toxic Avenger, of course, and we watched another one, but I don't remember what it was.
I can't we watched.
There was Swamp Thing, by the way.
Swamp Thing. If you can find a picture of Swamp Thing Returns, find the costume from Swamp Thing Returns. It flashed again. Did anybody else see it?
No, I didn't catch that.
His screen flashed again.
I think
It's
you're
just
seeing.
you're living in an alternate reality.
Okay, cool. That's why, Shmoo, that's why your life has changed drastically, and now good things happen to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you'd be good with it. Just be good
Oh,
with
I just had some really bad deja vu.
But no, anything trauma is great to just sit back, turn your brain off, and watch.
And Hollywood is doing a remake of the Toxic Avenger,
Right,
and
right.
I am so not okay with this. They are going to screw it up so bad. Why would they want to do that to begin with?
They have no original thoughts.
I know, but like that is such a niche. Yeah, look at that costume. That costume is phenomenal.
It's one of my favorites of all times. Like, love that.
So yeah, I wasn't sure what those movies were, but I love Toxic Avenger. The first
Absolutely.
one is great. So
you got the Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man. You've got Class in Nukem High.
Right, right.
Terra Firma. You've got Tromeo and Juliet. I mean, there's many different
one in there.
phenomenal movies. The turkey one.
Oh yeah, the turkey one that the gobbler.
Oh my god, I can't think of it. Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Cannibal the Musical, one of my favorites. That was the guys that do South Park.
Seen that one. Oh my god.
That one was done by Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the guys that made South Park.
Yep.
It was before South Park. They did a movie. They actually wrote this as like a little low budget thing that they made on their own. Then it was picked up by Troma, remade with a Troma budget, not a big budget, but hilarious. It flashed again.
So they gave him an extra $100 to make.
Yeah. And a couple of coupons to Costco. Yeah.
So we've got a couple more comments from Jason here, real quick.
Tiffany Depp gets the movie. 18 boyfriend 80s dream.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was more of a Bangles guy myself. Surf Nazis must die.
I would rank Surf Nazis up there with all of the newer Asylum Pictures Nazi movies, like the Nazis on the Moon. And
oh god, yeah.
So have you guys Iron Sky? Have you guys seen Iron Sky? I think it's a great movie. I don't think it's a bad movie.
Iron Sky.
It's
oh my gosh,
Nazis on the Moon.
Yeah, the Nazis on the Moon. Right. Nazis on the Moon.
Yeah,
and then the sequel actually has them going to Hollow Earth.
Where Hitler rides a dinosaur.
Where Hitler? You're exactly right. I actually.
Why have I not seen that?
I didn't put those on my.
They are
Iron Sky. Okay, so as soon as we're done here,
it's oh my gosh, Iron Sky. I think is awesome. I
think they're on Prime.
They might be. Well, I actually was doing a campaign to get them to actually show the movie in the theater in Springfield. I almost had them convinced to show it back when it was the Warenberg. So they were trying to exactly. So yeah, because I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Alien Nazis on the Moon. I'm in. I'm just in. And then the president was a takeoff of what's her name? That ran for vice president.
Sarah
Palin? It's a Sarah Palin takeoff. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Absolutely hysterical. So yeah, you got to see if you've not seen Iron Sky. You need to see Iron Sky. Okay. All right. So okay.
I have one more on my list. How many does everybody else have?
I have one.
I've got
another general one that doesn't really need a lot of discussion. But
okay, Dee, how many do you have?
I'm actually done. We've touched on pretty much all the same ones that I came up with. So
good. Yay. Okay, so Shmoo, what's your last one?
My last one is another general one, but it's anything by Neil Breen.
And I don't know who that is. So
if you don't know who Neil Breen is, he is a crazy person who lives in Las Vegas. He's like a real estate guy from Las Vegas that makes his own little movies, and every single movie is like exposing, corruption in the government or whatever, and he's like some kind of savior of humanity. He's like this mid-50s guy that looks like an alien and plays an alien in a few of them.
Well, there
But
you
just go on YouTube, search for Neil Breen. That's like Breen, I think, and that's B with like boy, not green.
Not green.
Yeah, you want some of the best bad movies you've ever seen in your life. Just watch anything by Neil Breen. Now the problem is, you're not going to find it streaming. You're not going to find it like you can find clips and stuff on YouTube or like endless reviews of his movies, because like anybody that does bad movies loves to riff on Neil Breen, because his movies make The Room look like Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
They have that bad.
This guy?
Yep, that's him. That's Neil Breen.
That's him. Yep. That's him.
Okay, so Shrew, tell people how they can get his movies, because this is the best part of this man.
I really don't know like how. You have to go to like his website.
You go to his website.
But like if you order one of his movies, it's not going to come in like a DVD case or whatever, or like a Blu-ray case. It's going to be a DVD in like one of those little paper sleeves with like the plastic middle that you can see the disc inside. Like, hang on 1 second, I'll be right back.
Oh my gosh. So you literally have to go to his website and you have to order it from him, and he only has certain ones at certain times because he only prints.
I think you can get them all on.
You can get them all on there. The last time we looked, it was like you literally could only get certain ones, because he's like, I'm making these and I'm remastering these, and I'm like, okay, but they come in.
The DVD is going to come in one of these, and it's going to have like a self-printed label on it. So like they're like something that he made in his printer and then like stuck on the thing. Some of the newer ones have gotten a little bit better, but yeah, it's just movies that he makes, produces, and releases himself. And yeah, they
did
a lot of it is he's standing in front of a green screen and he throws an image behind him.
Most of it.
And it's just him doing something.
Yeah. And he's always like the most recent one that he's come up with was called a Twisted Pair or something like that, where he plays two people that are brothers, twins. He plays both of them. Cade,
it's like Parent Trap.
What?
It's like Parent Trap.
Yeah, kinda. And they were abducted by aliens and turned into artificial intelligent humanoids, and then sent back to Earth with like superpowers and stuff, and they're sent back to save humanity. But like one of them like becomes a drug addict and all this stuff, so they took his powers away from him, and so they're just like living on Earth, and one of them like. You see him like I can't even like if I try to describe this movie, it's going to take an hour, because it's not a movie that you watch. It is very much a movie that you experience, because every one of his movies is like, just look up any review, because it is the biggest blow your mind thing you will ever see.
We didn't find any of his movies when we were looking, because you were trying to show me those like months ago. But you can find like clips and things on YouTube. You're not gonna find that interview that he did, right? We watched it like a whole little like small documentary about him making movies and why he does it, and he thinks he's the best filmmaker.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Like you will not find. I challenge you to find a review of one of his movies that's actually like, this movie is so great and whatever. Every one of these reviews is just ripping him to shreds. And to watch him talk is like delivering this important message, and he's just the greatest filmmaker and all of these things. And like, you can even order a 6-hour-long DVD of him sitting on his couch, like completely man spread out on the couch with the camera focused right there, and like just talking about how he makes movies. And it's the most generic, like, you get a camera and you write a script, and then you hire actors, and then you put them in front of the camera and you turn it on, and that's how you make a movie. I mean, he may as well have said that, because that's pretty much what he says over the course of 6 hours.
It's so bad.
He is an insane person.
People thought Monet was insane too.
And every single one of his movies is literally about, like, exposing corruption and, like, taking down the government and all of this stuff, to the point that, like, Red Letter Media even started the hashtag Eyes on Breen.
I know something.
Oh my God. So,
yeah.
So, Larry, do you have any others?
I do still have some to go. So,
I only have one left. So you go.
All right. Well, all right. So let's do this one. This should have been a mega hit, and it's considered a mega stinker, but I really do like this movie. Little Will Smith, Wild Wild West.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was a good movie.
So
you read reviews on it, and this movie is considered to be one of the worst. And I'm like, really? Because, and I think it was just before its time. Yeah. I really don't think people understood the whole steampunk aspect of it and got it. But you can, I mean, when you read Will Smith's review of stuff on it, it's like he just kind of packed it in because he was obligated to do another movie.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. And I'm like, but this movie's a lot of fun.
What's funny is that he actually turned down the role of Neo in The Matrix to star in Wild Wild West.
Yeah, right.
We were talking about this today at the office, and Tim was talking about his favorite bad movie, and Wild Wild West was his favorite bad movie. So
see, there you go. And I think he just said that. So here's Mr. Tim.
Yeah.
Yay, Tim. We're on the same page, buddy. And Jason's got this to say about it. Watch anything with Selma Hayek. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. The Western movie with her and Penelope Cruz. Oh my gosh, I watch that thing all day long.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Bad Girls?
Bad Girls. I love that movie.
Oh God.
That should have been on the list too. But oh my gosh,
that is another bad one. That's true.
I don't consider it that bad. I just think it's fun. So I don't know.
Wild Wild West was such a good movie, though.
It got a bad rap. It really did.
It
was a great movie. It had decent effects.
Yeah, and the steampunk spider. That was really cool.
That's another one of those little funny stories, because like that was right after the whole Tim Burton Superman debacle, where they had Kevin Smith was writing the script for Superman Returns. They wanted him to fight a giant spider in it for some reason. Movie didn't get made, and then like the next big movie to come out from Warner Brothers is Wild Wild West, and lo and behold, giant spider. So what is it about this guy and giant spider?
But the thing about Wild Wild West is, like you guys said, steampunk. I was into steampunk way before it became popular, and now I'm not as popular. Yeah. Because I don't.
I'm still into it.
I don't do trendy things. It's whatever.
I just figured I set the trend. I just go from there.
But when it came out, it was so steampunk. And if you guys like steampunk and you haven't seen this, go back and watch it for just the pure aesthetic of it, because that it's a beautiful. The costumes are beautiful.
Yes.
The script, okay, it wasn't like amazing.
It's no Oscar-worthy movie or nothing.
No, right.
Well, it's a fun movie.
Yes,
it's supposed to be a popcorn film.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the action was enough to keep you entertained. You didn't get like super bored. There weren't like those really long, slow parts. And you have Will Smith and Kevin Kline and Salma Hayek, and it's just a fun movie.
Right.
But I did look at like probably 40 websites with bad movies, list of bad movies, and it was on almost every.
It is, right? Which I didn't understand. I'm like, how is that considered a bad movie? But I put it on my list because I'm like, people can end it. Let me see, because I have the IMDb rating for it is 4.9.
Oh my God.
Are you freaking kidding me? That's not that bad, people.
Right.
So, but yeah.
On Rotten Tomatoes, I think it has a 3.
Yeah.
And you know, that's like one of the lowest. Of course, one of the very lowest on Rotten Tomatoes is a really bad movie, but I don't like it, so I didn't put it on my list, and that's Mac and Me.
Oh yeah, that is a bad movie. Yeah, I'm with you. It wanted to be E.T.
An only movie made by McDonald's.
It's a bad movie. But just so you guys know, like anything that is considered that if you go on like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb and you look at the ratings, anything that's below a 5 is what, if you go on to all these websites that post these lists, that's what how they deem these movies bad is from those lists. And so, but there are several of them that are on those lists that I don't actually agree with.
Right.
And this was one of them. I didn't understand why it was on the list.
I didn't either, because I went and saw it in the theater opening weekend. I left just like that was fun. I had a great time. So so we've got some more comments. What's the sequel bad? That would be an awesome sequel. I would so go to that, Tim. I'd want to go with you. Let's go watch it.
And let's face it had one of the best theme songs.
It did. I agree.
Yeah.
Fools Rush In with Salma Hayek and Matthew Perry. Bad but good. Again, because of Salma.
Yeah, that one was like a weird one.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, trading the insults is classic.
Why don't you get down?
It is.
So I don't know why that one is made put on the bad list. I'm not sure who's all reviewing it, but I don't agree with the reviews.
I don't either.
It's not the best movie ever made. Cinematically, it's not. Script wise, it's not. Acting, it's not bad. It's, you know, but it's nowhere near as low as it is listed.
No.
Right.
As bad as it
Right.
is.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen way worse movies that had like 50 or 60 on the Rotten Tomatoes list, and I'm like, how are these movies? But it is what it is. It is what it is.
All right, you gonna give us your last one there, Ace?
Yes. So my last one is also from my childhood, and it is a movie that freaked me out a little bit, but as an adult or even a teenager, I rewatched it, and it is so bad. And that is from my man, but it is Maximum Overdrive. This movie is so bad. It's beautiful because it's so bad. The acting is subpar. The script is way below.
It's bad.
It's so bad. It's like they literally took like a couple pages and were like, okay, we're just here, talk. And
somebody I saw a picture not too long ago, got their picture taken with the Green Goblin face from that. It was somewhere. I want to say it was like an Alamo Draft House. I don't know. I don't think it was the one in Springfield, but maybe. I don't know. Somebody had that picture. I don't remember who it was, though.
That's interesting.
As a kid, freaked my sister out way more because, you know, having every electronic that you have in your house out to kill you is a terrifying thing as a child.
And now it would be worse.
Right.
Yeah, horribly worse now.
Yes. My mom, even though she was really strict on us with some of the things we watched, she loved Stephen King and she loved any horror kind of thing. So we were allowed to watch some horror, but we weren't allowed to watch other things. And this one, she put it on, and she was like, I don't understand why I'm watching this. Like, my mom said that, and that was just abnormal for her. But we were petrified, or like in our seats, just watching these electronics killing everyone, and then the cars coming to life, like basically having thoughts and figuring out how to pump their gas, and like, what the hell am I watching?
I love watching interviews with Stephen King talking about Maximum Overdrive now, where they're like, what inspired you to make Maximum Overdrive? And he just says, cocaine.
I was about ready to say, wasn't that one of his benders? He wrote
Yes.
Very much so.
And it doesn't have, like, it's so weird. It's so bad, and it has Emilio Estevez in it, who I love,
and Lisa Simpson.
Yes, but I'm like, the acting is horrendous.
The acting is bad.
Yeah, and the script.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
So does that make Green Goblin the first Marvel character to actually end up like in a major motion picture?
I think Howard the Duck was first.
Howard may have been first. Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe.
I don't know.
Which one came first?
I don't know. I think
the Duck or the Duck.
When was Maximum Overdrive released? 86?
86, I think.
I want to say 85.
So Howard the Duck was around that time.
It would have been about
all right. Let's look it up.
Google to the rescue.
Around the same time, but I'm going to say they're not too far apart, but I'm not sure which one came first.
Howard the Duck was 1986. Let's see if we can get a date on a release date. It was 86. So we'll start there, then we'll look, and then Maximum Overdrive.
It came in middle part of the year. In 86, middle part of the year, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was a summer movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be one of the big summer blockbusters in the 80s, and it just.
Yeah. Well, it had Stephen King's name on it, so at this point he is known for his horror writing, and
well, you had Carrie, you had Cujo, you had
and it was the first one that not only did he write specifically as a movie, but also directed.
Yeah.
And then you go and see. I mean, we went to see it at the movies, and it was just, my mom was like, "Why am I watching this?"
Right.
Huge Stephen King fan. I mean, literally had every book he ever wrote. The first Stephen King book I read that she gave me was one he wrote for his daughter called Eyes of the Dragon.
That was his only fantasy book ever.
It was his only fantasy book. I got to read it like when I was very young, because she was like, "You're not ready for some of his other ones." We watched, Christine and Carrie and Cujo. Cujo is still the scariest movie I ever saw, because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and there was a pack of wild chows that some people had left, and they just started inbreeding like up the road from me, and they would come to our house at night and like try to attack us. So Cujo was horrifying because it could happen. But this movie, you go in there and you're expecting a Stephen King, and yes, we were like, "Oh God, the things are coming to life." But the longer you sat through that movie, the weirder and funnier and like obscure it got, and it's just like, and then you're realizing, I don't think anybody gave anybody direction. I think it was just like, here's some words to say it, because some of the actors.
That's when every scene started off with action.
So here's an interesting thing. Maximum Overdrive premiered July 25th, 1986. Of course, music by AC/DC.
Yes.
It budget was $9 million. It made $7.4 million is all it made.
Ooh.
Oh God, it bombed so much.
It did. A week later, Howard the Duck premieres August 1st, 1986.
I am good.
You are good. Look at that. So
this is why I say that my brain is like a garage sale at a nursing home. There's like a ton of crap in there. It's just no use to anybody.
So
and it kind of smells funny.
Howard the Duck had a budget of 30 to 37 million. So it doesn't specify how much exactly. In the box office, it made 38. So it made its money back, unlike Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, no, Maximum Overdrive such like Howard the Duck is deemed as one of the worst superhero movies ever. But
I wouldn't even call it a superhero movie. It just was a good action flick.
Yeah.
Right? But Maximum Overdrive is just horrible. It is horrible. But that being said, it was one of those movies that if I was flipping through the channels late at night and it was up, I sat and watched it.
Hosted by Joe Bob Briggs or Rhonda Shear.
Briggs on TNT at like 11:30 at night.
Yes, and I would just be like,
Or Ron DeShear on USA Up All Night.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't know why. And that, just so everyone knows, literally that is the reason every one of these movies that was on my list, except for The Stuff, is because if I saw it late at night, flipping through the channels, I'd stop and watch it.
Yeah,
About it.
So we've got some comments. Let's throw those up, and then I'll hit a couple more movies here real quick, and then we'll call it a night. All right.
Oh yeah, Wild Wild West. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about the television show, though, was it was a little bit of sci-fi, almost steampunky in its own right.
Very passionate about Wild Wild West.
Well, it's a good movie. I'll defend him any day for that.
Yeah.
So
I applaud that.
Jason.
We're still survivors.
And then he said 1986, which was the year.
Yep.
And then Keith says, "Hey, Keith, good to see you, buddy. Night of the Comet." Yeah.
Or Night of the Demons, for that matter. Or Night of the Creeps, rather.
Night of the Comet, where the comet kills all the adults.
Yeah, right.
That is a great movie.
Specific.
I forgot about that one. Man, that takes me back.
So
if it starts with Night of, Shmoo's all about it.
Right. We're seeing a Planet of the Apes movie after the original one. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. They kind of, decided to watch them go way down. The first one with Charles Heston was amazing.
Well, the Tim Burton one was good.
I actually liked it. I am
joking. I am totally joking there. I've gone too far.
I actually like the new Planet of the Apes.
The new one, like the Matt Reeves ones?
Yes.
The trilogy? Oh, no, those were phenomenal.
Yeah.
The Tim Burton one? No.
The thing was great, though, in that. I mean, you come back, and then you got the, like you're landing the space shuttle, and there are all the
Abraham Lincoln. Bat and kill it.
Abraham Lincoln, yes.
I totally just made that up off the top of my head. I don't know if anybody else has ever said it, but they probably have.
Madness.
Midnight Madness. Michael. Oh, is that the? Yes, I do.
Vaguely.
Or wait, hang on. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie. Is that the movie? Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. But there was a movie. I loved it when I was a kid, where there's like a bunch of different groups of people, and they're like, it's almost, I want to, not like a scavenger hunt type of thing, but maybe kind of like that, or it's a race or something. I just remember that like one of the groups drove around in a van, and Eddie Deason was in it. That's literally all I can remember.
Was it a Disney movie?
I don't know.
I think it was a Disney movie.
I don't know. I don't remember.
But it was something like that.
We'll have to look that up, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say
yes, but I may be thinking of a different movie.
I might be too, but if I'm remembering the poster right in my head, it was a Walt Disney picture at the time.
Well, I've seen Midnight Madness. I know I have seen Michael J. Fox's first movie, but I'm not sure if the movie that I'm also thinking of is that same movie, if that makes sense. I've seen both of the movies. I'm just not sure if I'm remembering the right one.
Okay. So, Larry, what other ones are on your list?
We have a couple more comments here. So, yeah. Up
all night.
All night. I prefer Ron DeShear on
I did too.
Up All Night.
I did too, but Gilbert Gottfried's funny.
Boy, and
yes, right.
Exactly. Comedy Get Crazy with an all-star cast. That reminds me of Dudley Moore in Crazy People. We watched that not too long ago too.
Yep. And
that's it. Okay, yes. Okay, then yes, that is the movie. I loved that movie when I was a kid. I need to find that one. I wonder if it's streaming anywhere.
We'll probably
might be on Disney Plus.
Maybe.
Yeah, I haven't seen it on there, and I look through that all the time.
Yeah.
I know it's a Disney movie now. Now we're talking about the same one. Yeah, it was an '80s Disney flick. Mm-hmm.
It's weird that I remember Eddie Deason being in it, but I don't remember Michael J. Fox being in it.
Probably before his Family Ties days.
Yeah.
So all right. So here's a classic, and both of the next ones might be considered not as bad as what I think they are, or because they're cult classics of their own. They're not the same level, but This one's pretty bad.
Death Race.
Death Race 2000.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
I do too.
Oh my
Sly
God.
Stallone. You've got David Carradine. I mean, just it's a fun movie. And
Free closet there, David Carradine.
Yes.
Yeah, every time I think of David Carradine's death, I get really choked up.
My God.
I get kind of,
But then I just gotta jerk myself out of it, and then I'm okay again. I am going to hell.
You are.
All I can say is Frankenstein, baby.
That is a lovely shade of red on your face there, Professor.
Why, thanks.
Professor, this is why we don't usually go over 2 hours.
I know, right? And we're going to have to close it up here. So my other last one, also a cult classic, and I just rewatched this movie.
Okay.
Thinking, okay, this is such a classic. Then I watched it and went, this is so bad. And it doesn't know what it wants to be. But I like it, but it's horrible.
Oh, I'm so curious now.
It's Kroll.
Oh,
I
be still my beating heart. I love Kroll.
But it's
love Kroll.
Terrible. But I love
really
it. But it because it starts off with spaceships, and the bad guys look kind of like they're armored stormtroopers of sorts, firing lasers at people. Yet then it becomes a high fantasy, and I'm like, this movie doesn't know what it is. It's
a very young Liam Neeson.
Very young Liam Neeson. I mean, I still like it a lot.
But it's very, it's yeah.
Kroll was definitely one of those movies that jumped on the Masters of the Universe bandwagon to try and grab the sci-fi kids and the fantasy kids and kind of mesh them together the way Masters of the Universe did.
And didn't do it at all.
It didn't do it well, no. But I just think it was a classic. It was the classic star knife.
The glaive. The glaive. But the worst thing of the whole thing is the glaive doesn't even pay off in the end.
No, it doesn't. You were right.
You're like,
I just remember we were watching.
How does the glaive not kill him?
This is a
what in the world?
How does it not chop his hand off every time it comes back?
Right.
We were watching Deep Space Nine not too long ago, and there was a guy that showed up on an episode. I'm like, who is that? I know that guy. And it was the guy from Kroll, just with much less hair.
Yeah.
It happened.
That movie is bad, but it's still fun. I still love it.
Movie.
Yeah.
It's
one of those good 80s sci-fi movies that it's a good.
That is the classic definition of good bad.
Yeah, that is a good bad movie.
But it gets really dry at points too. Like when he's trying to, you're like. He's going on this epic quest. I'm like, it's almost as bad as oh gosh, what am I thinking of? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, but it just gets so dry. You're like, oh my gosh, you're killing me. And then all of a sudden, now we're fighting this. Well, where did that come from? And and the stormtrooper like characters pop out of the swamp and start like, what in the world is going on? And the Cyclops dude, and he's kind of cool. So
yeah.
And there's practical effects in that is actually really awesome.
Yeah.
So because it's like that eye's actually moving, and you can see the ridges for how his eye would actually look. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's actually really good. But yeah. All right, we've got a few more comments and we'll wrap it up, guys.
Hey, my battery's about to die.
Oh my gosh, here's Keith's got one here. Condor Man.
Yes.
There's a Disney movie
had
for you.
A hard shell VHS VHS copy of that I hunted down when I was a kid, like when I was probably 20 years old. I think went hunting for that movie. Much more boring than I remembered it being.
Right.
That
was a very boring movie. Yes.
There was a Toy Story 3 when Toy Story 3 came out. They released the DVDs with like a bunch of little short movies with it, and on one of them it was like Buzz Lightyear got put in like a lost and found for toys that had fallen into like a ball pit or something at a restaurant, Pizza Planet, I think. And there was like a little miniature Buzz Lightyear and all this stuff, but there was a Condor Man toy in it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's right. It was a Disney movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. I loved that movie.
That's awesome.
All right. So Jason says, remember the Kroll video game? You had to collect the pieces of the glaze. I don't
I
remember
do
that
not
one.
remember the game. That's
What?
kind of odd.
Is that an Atari one or is
That
that
would probably be like an
Nintendo?
Atari or maybe an Intellivision.
Yeah. Huh. I don't remember that. That's interesting. Kroll is based on Errol Flynn Adventure. Yeah. So, well, you could tell it felt like it wanted to be Star Wars, but it couldn't. And then it sort of wanted to be this high-flying adventure and didn't quite do that. But the glaze was cool.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing
At the very beginning, like, hey, we got this cool thing. Let's make a movie about it.
Right. Well, in the beginning, it's like aliens are invading, taking over everything. Let's have a wedding. What? Well, we gotta bring our families together. You're fighting against the aliens. Just fight, and then you don't have to come together. I mean, oh my gosh, what in the world?
Love, true love.
Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer's a good one. Yeah.
That's like Dragon Slayer with like Dungeon Master and Hawk the Slayer and what's that other one?
Fire and Ice, Sword and Sorcery.
Just all of those.
Yeah. Oh, Sword and Sorcery. I love Sword and Sorcery. Oh yeah.
Then you could get into all of the Rankin films like Wings, the Wizard.
Yeah.
The Cat.
Anything by Golden Globus.
Yeah.
So, Shmoo, is your Flight of the Navigator
Flight of the Navigator was an amazing movie.
That was a great movie.
It was a great movie,
and I've seen the ship.
It deserves a modern remake.
It does.
Yeah. Shmoo, do you want to come out here since your battery's almost dead, so we can?
I am at 13% right now, so I'm okay for another couple minutes.
I think she wants you to be together for the announcement.
Oh. I'm gonna do that.
Hint.
I'm gonna do this.
Hint. Hey! Come make an announcement.
Sometimes
you're going to come and do this because
right? Like
right.
You don't want to just say it. Okay, guys. So we have a very big announcement. The two of us.
So.
You want to say?
Do we want to say, like, well, okay, so April 23rd of this coming year. I'm not going to say where just yet because we don't have it locked down. But we're getting married.
Woo!
Two people who swore they'd never get married again are getting married.
Yes.
April 23rd, Keith. Yes.
April
That's
23rd.
exactly right. He posted a comment. Yes.
I went, and the whole reason we saw him today was I told him, so like, what are you doing April 23rd? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, because you got to be at this place where we're trying to get. And he's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I can probably pull that off. I'm like, would you like to maybe know why?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I would.
I said, well, because I need you to be my best man. He's like, what? So yeah.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
So we are getting married. We are hoping to get married. I guess we could say where we're hoping to
Yes,
get married.
we're trying to get it at OzCon.
At OzCon.
Yeah.
During OzCon, that's our goal. We've reached out to them, and hopefully we can get approved to do that. We met at a con several years ago, and then our first official outing as a couple was at a con, and we emceed at OzCon. We love them so much, and we just thought, what a perfect place to get married if we can, and that's at a con. And Tim is saying,
oh, I thought they said why. I was like, wait, what?
Why would you do that? Why? No.
Tim is saying yay, and the reason we brought up that Tim was a part of this is because we have asked Tim to officiate our wedding.
Woo!
Yay,
Tim! All right.
Open invitation, especially if it's at OzCon. It will be a cosplay wedding, so nerd it up, my friends.
During OzCon, Righteous, totally red.
Red, dude.
Turning back to my camera.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
all right. So the interesting thing is now we've got two couples from Geeky Cool getting married in 2021. Because we also have John and Ashley getting married next year also. So that will be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yay.
Reverend Church.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a fun name there. Reverend Church, right?
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. But we're still like trying to get
Hold up. Yes, cosplay.
Yeah.
Now Tim has to cosplay the
Hey, should we tell them what we're going to be doing?
So
I'll tell you.
We had 3 ideas of what we were gonna do. One was Wesley and Buttercup, just so Tim could do the marriage.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
The other one,
love. Woo, well.
The other one we were thinking about doing was Beetlejuice and Lydia. But Shmoo's favorite movie of all time and one of my top 5 movies of all time are the same thing. And so he's going to be Bender and I'm going to be Claire.
All right.
Club wedding. So it's going to be fun.
That's
so wait,
awesome.
does that mean I have to dress up as
So Tim, if you can dress up as either Brian or Mr. Vernon, that would be awesome.
And Keith, cosplay is not required. We have family who will not be dressing up. But if you guys want to dress up,
I can't picture my mom in cosplay. That'd be weird.
But if you want to dress up and you want to come to the wedding, you can dress up. It doesn't have to be Breakfast Club. Just choose your favorite character and come and join in the fun.
I think your mom should dress up as Hulk Hogan.
What you gonna do?
But yeah. So we will be releasing like all the details and inviting people, but
when we have them.
Yeah, but anyone who's on
now the clock's ticking.
I know. Anyone who's at the able to come by and see us, and if they want to attend the wedding, they feel free to. We just love our nerd family so much that we just want to include everybody. So yeah,
and we're considering doing the reception, basically just like having a ton of cake at our booth.
Aw, did you see what Tim said?
Whatever cosplay AG would like to make me, I will proudly wear it. Oh,
I'll be on that, Tim. So that's our huge announcement.
That is a huge announcement. Heard here first on GeekyKOOL Presents.
Yep. It's true. There's family I haven't even told yet.
I know. Like, I mean, we told like his mom and his sister. The first person,
my mom, my sister,
your daughter was the first person.
Lex and my ex-wife, and Dee. That's all I've told. And now you guys.
I've told more than that. It's okay.
Yes.
And now the rest of the internet knows.
Now everybody knows. Knowing is half the battle.
Right. Aw. You love me, Keith.
Keith, that's where you need to dress up, buddy.
Yes.
Come as the Rock.
Oh, that would be beautiful. I would love that so much.
But Keith, come as the 80s rock, rocking that big
with the tassels.
That big tassel.
Rocky Maivia.
Yep.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
There's your challenge, Keith, right there.
So
I'm gonna bleach my hair and come as old Ric Flair.
Old Ric, you guys
Let's have a wrestling wedding.
Wrestling thing.
That was something you threw out, Macho Man and Elizabeth. I'm just
saying
that out there.
I said that because then I could walk out and put her up on my shoulder, as we walk out.
That's not happening. 1, because it's me, and 2, because I love him, but I don't know. He dropped me.
My body hates me, and the fact that I'm getting older doesn't help with that. So yeah.
But yes, so his daughter was the first person to know. And then my son and my girl, I called them and let them know too. So, but now we can share it with everybody.
We sure can. That's exciting news. So.
Okay. So I think with that exciting news, it's probably time for us to wrap up this show.
All right. I guess down to 2.5 hours is enough. I don't know. I think our audience is still wanting more. I don't know.
Well, my phone's at 9%, so.
You guys.
All right. Better to leave them wanting more.
I could go get a charger, though. I mean, that wouldn't be actually here. I'll just do that.
Well, you know what they say? Always leave them wanting more. So there we go.
Guys, guys know that we do this every week. Sometimes it's just me and the professor, but we always invite people over if they want to come in and join us. We thank Shmoo and Dee from Skallywag Productions today for joining us. But we also like you to know some of our friends do very similar things to what we're doing, and we love to show them the love. So
we do.
First one, you saw Mr. Tim Church. Now, Tim is part of a group. What do they call themselves? They call themselves, oh yeah, the Nerd Informants.
There we go. The Nerd Informants. There we go. Yep.
And they're on YouTube and Facebook. I was just joking that I, of course, know who they are. They're amazing. That's Tim and Josh. They have all kinds of wonderful reviews for movies. They'll just put up all kinds of geeky, nerdy news. They're really on top of that. So if you guys like that sort of thing, go check them out on Facebook. Give them a like. On YouTube, hit subscribe. And they also have a group. Like if you want to share geeky, nerdy news or ask a geeky question or share a meme that you like, the Nerd Informants Beyond is a great Facebook page where everyone can add just cool, geeky, nerdy stuff. So check out their Facebook page that lets you control what is being seen. It's great. We also have Keith. Keith has been on here and been commenting, and Keith is part of Pop Culture Minefield. Keith and Gary. I didn't know which one you were going to put up because he has.
I didn't either. I was waiting for you.
So I'm like,
the thing that oh yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Well, Keith has two shows. The first one he has is with Gary, and that's Pop Culture Minefield. Now they bring you great content, amazing scoops, great interviews. They're not as kid friendly as we are, so just be prepared for that. But such a great show. If you guys want to know what's going on in the entertainment business, go check them out because they will let you be informed all day long. And that's on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. That way you can keep up with what they are putting out. Now, Keith has also got his own show, and that's over on the Fat Steven Seagal show on YouTube, and it's called Keith Chimes In. And is he still on Babylon? Yep, he's still on Babylon. So Keith's been breaking down that show, and you can go in and he breaks down so much of it and is so informative that it's just a really cool show. So go give him like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the wonderful things.
Do the things.
Do the things.
Ring the little bell.
Yes. Then we have the Ozpod Gals. Now they are relatively new to doing what we do, but they are Thursday nights, 6 p.m. on their Facebook page. That's the place you can find them right now. Go give them a like because they are so new. We just want to share the love. And the Ozpod Gals are part of the OzCon family. And the OzCon family is, who we are hoping to be surrounded by when we get married because we love them so much. These
and family
two girls,
means nobody gets left behind.
Exactly. So these two girls are funny, entertaining, and they are two of the geekiest, nerdiest girls I know. So if you guys like that, plus they're really pretty. So, go watch them. It's a true statement. Go watch them, give them a like on Facebook, and let them know that we sent them. Then we, of course, have the Skallywag Productions. Check out our partner, Skallywag Productions, on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Are you anywhere else, Skallywag?
What?
Are you anywhere else?
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those wonderful things.
We had to take him off of Pornhub, though.
But the Instagram and Twitter and that type of stuff is primarily used for like collectible of the day. When I do post videos, I share them on there as well. Every once in a while, not super often, but every once in a while, I'll put like fun little posts and whatever on Facebook. But most of it's just you can see all this stuff that's behind me and in all of its photographic glory. And I'll be selling prints of those soon. So yeah.
Which is great. But be sure to check him out on YouTube because you'll see not only shows that Shmoo has done by himself, but you can go back and watch all of the show with Dee and Shmoo and watch the trailer riffs that we talked about, all of the stuff. They used to do five shows.
Every Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
that.
And there will be some shows, the show, coming back in some capacity here in the very near future. I am going to be getting back and doing things slowly but surely. There will be an update video coming here pretty soon. Well, I meant to do it this past week, didn't get around to it. So hopefully this coming week, I will be able to get that done.
You didn't have anything more important going down, did you? I mean, really?
No, not really. I mean, just health stuff, life stuff,
Yeah.
Getting
So good.
Getting engaged.
Yeah.
That's
So.
just a little thing. It's no big deal. It's like fine. It's whatever. But be sure to check him out. And when you're on all of these different social media and platforms, be sure to hit whatever you need to hit. The like button, the subscribe button, comment. I know Shpoo responds to almost every comment on YouTube. I think he responds to every single one of them now. But
Unless it's just something that,
I'm selling this.
doesn't need a response or whatever. But yeah, other than that, I respond to everything.
So be sure to do that for our friends. And then there's us over at GeekyKOOL.com.
What? There's us?
Oh, yeah.
So head on over to www.GeekyKOOL.com, your one-stop shop for all things nerd. They got articles, they got reviews, they got lists, all sorts of stuff for all of your geeky needs. No matter what you're into, they've got a little something there for you. So hop on over there, check them out, tell them the Skallywag sent you.
There you go. And we're also on Facebook. So, hit that like button on YouTube, hit subscribe. Let us know what you would like to see. We are always trying to come up with ideas for these shows. So if there's any specific subject you would like us to talk about, dive into, or if you want to join us.
I got one.
You got one?
I got one. We talked about bad movies that we liked this week. Maybe next week we could talk about movies that are good that we didn't like.
Oh.
Ah.
Good one. That's a good one.
Got a few of those.
Yeah, he's got a lot. So never know what you're going to see here.
You don't. We're kind of like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
So we've had several other comments come in since we started talking. Both Tim and Keith.
All over the place.
They are. So in an effort for time, because we're hitting that 2 hours and 30-minute mark, we're not going to show them all tonight, guys. Check out the comments from Keith and Tim, and there's a bunch of fun ones in there, including Tim saying that Shpoo could carry him out during the wedding. Anyway, check those out, guys, later, and we will head out and see you guys later. Stay geeky.